Welcome to the Busan Global Village Virtual United Nations class. My name is Dylan, and I look forward to talking to you about this interesting topic of the United Nations. In this class, we will talk about these keywords. They are headquarters, United, Nations, found, peace, cooperation, ambassador or representative, secretary general, and committee. First of all, the United Nations is an organization that meets all over the world, but their headquarters or main office is located in New York City, USA. Now, let's talk about what the United Nations actually means. United means together. Nations means countries or nara. The idea of the United Nations is that when nations work together, they are stronger and are better able to deal with problems. To found means to begin or start. 50 different countries worked together to found the United Nations at the end of World War II on October 24, 1945. Although 50 nations worked together to found the United Nations, there are 5 main nations that were the strongest. These 5 nations are the United States of America, or USA, the United Kingdom, or UK, France, the Soviet Union, which is now Russia, and China. These 5 nations are permanent members of the Security Council. This means that they always have a vote, or 투표, to decide how the United Nations uses its military. There are 10 other nations who occupy the Security Council at any given time, which means the Security Council has 15 total members. However, these 5 nations are always there. One of the main reasons the United Nations was created was to try to make the world more peaceful. After 2 world wars, it is easy to understand why this would be on everyone's mind. Some would say the United Nations has been successful at securing peace, but others would disagree. Each country has one person who speaks for them at the United Nations. This person is called an ambassador or representative. Ambassador Cho Hyun has represented South Korea since 2019. Representative Dame Barbara Woodward has represented the United Kingdom since 2020. One of the newest United Nations representatives as of right now is Tovar da Silva Nunes. He has represented Brazil at the United Nations since September of 2021. The United Nations has several objectives they try to accomplish. They work together by forming committees. Committees are groups that work together or cooperate in order to achieve a goal. Some of the committees at the United Nations include the Economic Committee. The Korean word for economic is 경제. Can you say economic? Economic. 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 There's also the Cultural or 문화 Committee. Can you say cultural? Cultural. 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 Also, as we have already talked about, there is the Security or 국방 Council. Council is another way to say committee. Can you say security? Security. 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 You got it. Great job. Next, let's talk about the Secretary General. The Secretary General always comes from one of the 5 nations on the Security Council, but not from any of the 5 permanent members. The Secretary General's job is to lead and organize the United Nations, sort of like the CEO of a company. Up until now, there have been 9 United Nations Secretary Generals. The present Secretary General's name is Antonio Guterres from Portugal. Did you know that the last Secretary General of the United Nations before Antonio Guterres is South Korean? That's right. Secretary General Ban Ki-moon of South Korea served as the lead representative of the United Nations from 2007 to 2016. Speaking of South Korea, there are other important connections it has to the United Nations. Have you ever been to United Nations Peace Memorial Hall here in Busan, in Namgu? This building was opened in 2014 to honor all the people from the United Nations who fought for South Korea during the Korean War, or 625 Jeonjang. Although America sent the greatest number of troops to help South Korea under the direction of the UN, there were many other countries who also helped fight for South Korea against North Korea, China, and Soviet Russia. In other South Korean United Nations interests, we have BTS. Do you know BTS? Ha! I'm sure you do. But did you know that BTS was the first pop band to ever speak at the United Nations? They first spoke at the UN on September 25th, 2019, but they also did it again on September 20th, 2021. As you can see, the whole purpose of the United Nations is to try to help the world by working together with others. Sometimes they do, and other times they don't. However, you don't need to be a part of the United Nations to help others. Let's think about some of the ways you can help those around you. One way you can help the environment is to try to reduce how much trash you use and always try to properly recycle so that your garbage can be made into something new again. Another way you can help others is by donating your old clothes or toys that are still in good shape so that other families can use them. We can also do our part to stop bullying. There will always be bullies, but that doesn't mean that you have to let them get away with it. It's important to defend yourself and others, so you do not become victims. If you see Moon Jae picking on Jong-un, then you should help Jong-un by telling Moon Jae to stop being a jerk and to mind his own business. Not everyone wants to be a stupid communist. Anyway, I hope you learned a lot about cooperation, working together to accomplish goals like what the United Nations is supposed to do. That's all for now. Have a good one. Goodbye.